What a fun weekend for news, right? With all of the cultural items that have been making the headlines, there have been all kinds of slap fight debates taking place amongst people on their Facebook pages, at the dinner table, etc. You get Bruce Jenner and Racial Dolezal and the riots in Baltimore and Ferguson, and there's been no shortage of things for people to disagree on, which means it's going to be an awesome 4th of July when you get together with the family and everybody talks about it, right? Especially if not everyone is on the same page. So why is it that so many people think that we got to agree in order to be civil or cordial or maybe even friends? And what is up with the, like, can't we at least all agree that racial appropriation isn't cool, like sexual appropriation isn't cool? Like, when did this stuff start being okay? My very good friend and guest host of this program, Kira Davis, was discussing this recently. Kira, of course, I completely agree with what she was tweeting on. I wanted to bring her on. Kira, she's also the new editor-at-large at National Sentinel, natsentinel.com. Kira, so good to see you.
Hi, Dana. Thanks for having me.
It's okay. First off, because we're going to get into how fun it's going to be for 4th of July coming up, because I don't know if all your family's on the same page. Mine surely is not. Yeah.
No.
When did it seem? Have you seen Tropic Thunder? Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Kirk Lazarus, which is Robert Downey Jr.'s character in that film.
He should have won an Oscar for that role.
Right? He was an actor in a movie, and
yes.
he underwent, like, he forever permanently tanned his skin to play a black actor. And so I immediately thought of Kirk Lazarus when I was reading all of the stuff about Racial Dolezal, because you and I were just talking, what was it, last week, about sexual appropriation of Bruce Jenner, and we're like, you will never experience what it's like to be a true woman, and you don't just all of a sudden identify as a woman and say, oh, I totally understand you, sisterhood, I'm right there with you. No, you're not. No, you don't understand that. Now you have this woman, Racial Dolezal, and it's almost like us talking about this was going to happen was the perfect setup for this. Transracialism, I guess.
Yeah, well, it kind of came up in the conversation, and then I also have been writing about it, and I was like, look, the next thing that's going to happen is, someone's going to wake up one day and be like, I think I feel black today. I feel like I was born in a black person, black person inside a white person's body. So we kind of predicted it would happen. I just really did not believe it would happen so soon. Like, this is kismet. This is fate.
Right. And this story
is a gift in a way.
When I first read this, I first thought I was getting trolled.
Yeah.
And the story got progressively weirder. So it wasn't just that she was telling everybody that she was black and she put bronzer on her face and she went and got her perm and dyed her hair. Then she was passing off her adopted brothers, who legitimately are from Africa and were born black, as her biological sons. Then she was passing off a black man as her father. Her white parents, they were approached by a reporter because there was an ethics investigation into her because she wanted to serve on the Citizens Police Watch Committee. And then all of this crazy stuff, like she said her black father had been hunted by a white officer in the South and that she had all of these hate crimes done against her, like 8 different documented hate crimes. And she said she was born in a teepee, Kira, and she had to hunt with a bow and arrow for her own food, and she was from South Africa. This is like the nutty, and of course she's the president of the NAACP in Spokane. I almost have to take a step back and be like, wow, social justice warriors.
I have never seen anything like it. And if this is not made into a Lifetime movie of the week, then I feel like all the culture has failed. Like, everything America is done. This is going to be a Lifetime movie of the week. Meredith Baxter Birney as her mother, and I guess Ashley Tisdale.
She's as white as could be. She looks like Daenerys Targaryen when she was a kid. I mean, with the long blonde hair and the blue eyes. And
oh, yeah. It's incredible. I do think she deserves a certain amount of props for the amount of effort that she put into it. But the conversation that's been popping up around this has just been extraordinary. I mean, you and I both compare this to what we were talking about last week,
right.
Sexual appropriation and transgenderism. And a lot of people immediately were like, no, that's not the same thing.
Right.
It's not the same thing at all. And I think it is the same thing. I really do. And I don't mean to be flippant about it. I think we're talking in both cases about a mental illness,
right.
in a way, body dysmorphia in a way. She surely was deceptive she was
Yeah.
lying, but it's the same idea of I want to be someone different. And I feel like I should be someone different. And so if I put on all of the outside accoutrements, then that makes me this different person. And my thing is, if we have so lowered the standard of what it takes to be somebody, to just, now you can just decide who you are. I mean, I know there are a lot of people that say, hey, transgenderism is a legitimate idea. It happens, you know, people born in the wrong body. Even if that's true, I haven't seen Caitlyn Jenner's doctor's note.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
we're literally taking him at his word that he says, well, I am a woman and therefore he is a woman. So that's where the standard is. So that's the problem that I have. We've lowered the standard. And so that standard can apply to everything now.
Right.
And so in that respect, these two incidents are really the same. It's not the same condition,
Yeah.
but the way that society views them as far as the standards it takes to say that's who you are, they're the same thing.
The left's reaction was kind of confusing because it seemed to be fractured. You had a group of, like, one half of the left was like, oh my gosh, no way can someone do this. I mean, she put on blackface, basically. I mean, that's what her adopted brother said. He's like, she put on blackface. This is so racist. And then you have the other half, the social justice warriors. They're in a really interesting predicament here. Because these are the people who've said, well, race is just a social construct. Okay, well, if so, then how do you, I mean, they're in a sticky wicket here, Kira.
Well, this was the logical end result. And I think I recall us talking about this earlier. Again, this is the logical end result of all this. I wrote an article at everyjoe.com last week about this slippery slope idea and how there is such a thing. People deny it, but what happens is the slippery slope of identification and how we identify ourselves has led us to the feet of Racial Dolezal.
Right.
And it's ugly, but this is what it's come to. All of these different movements and all of these people screaming for attention and special status, in the end, they're all going to eat each other.
Right.
Because the answer for people like you and I, Dana, is always more freedom. Everyone should have more freedom to do what they want, whatever they want, as long as it doesn't infringe on mine. As soon as you start demanding that other people treat you outside of the bounds of reality, of what is real and scientific and biological, as soon as you make demands in that respect, you start infringing on other people's rights.
Exactly.
You're making people go against nature, reality. And so once that happens, you know, this is what's left.
Slippery slope.
All of these movements have to turn on each other.
Yeah,
now,
I'm terrified.
The Black Power movement can't stand side by side with transgender movement. It can't. It can't coexist.
I'm terrified to even say the word transspeciesism because we would joke about it right now, but you know that's like, with our track record, we're going to have a story about that next week. It's coming.
Frightened.
I identify as a dolphin. I mean, it's going to be like that.
Here's the thing. I know. Well, I identify as a wealthy yacht owner.
I would love to identify that as well. Kira Davis. You can find her at Kira Ayn Davis, and you'll also see her here next week as well. Kira, always a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Folks, the panel is on after this.